All right, what's up, everybody? Tane Nix here. In this lesson, I want to talk about the something interesting that I picked up recently. This was a very useful discussion I was part of regarding cover letters. If you're a copywriter, you're going to have to submit not just your portfolio of material, not just some writing samples. You may get a paid test. I recently just submitted one for a job I was interviewing for, and but you're also going to be required to write something about yourself. Now, how you introduce yourself obviously is going to have a big impact. There are people at the very highest level of business who do the hiring and usually work with you as a copywriter, who will hire or not almost entirely based on your cover letter. And so if you know how to really present yourself in your cover letter, obviously you have a big advantage. Now, in fairness to the mastermind group that I'm part of, I'm not going to share with you all the rules. That would be a little too akin to stealing somebody else's material here. But in general, right, anytime you're going to introduce yourself to somebody in a cover letter, be polite about it, right? Be mindful of the fact that they probably have a lot of these things to read. Just being respectful of the person's time is probably going to take you higher up in the pile of people likely to get a callback. And so be mindful that somebody's actually giving their time and probably doesn't necessarily want to read all of these submissions, most of which are going to be crap. Because the people won't know what I'm about to share with you. I thought this was really, and there's other rules to cover letters, but the broad leitmotif is be polite, be respectful of the person's time. And then, broadly speaking, don't tell them that you're great. Show them, right, that you know how to write. Okay. And so, and this is what I want to get into in this lesson, as a framework for doing something like a cover letter. And by the way, this carries over into other forms of, let's just say, short copy in general. Cover three things in your cover letter. If you do these three things, or if you think along these three lines, you'll probably be okay. And you'll probably, again, right, you'll be toward the top of the pile, or you'll be in the pile that gets a star, where they're going to come back and actually want to read your writing samples or your portfolio submission, because you passed the test, you passed muster when it came to the cover letter. What are you telling them in your cover letter? What are you showcasing? A skill? What is the thing that you're going to feature? Okay. If you're not clear on exactly what you're telling them, I mean, this takes a little planning and sort of outlining. I'm going to tell them an anecdote about how I got into copywriting, or I'm going to tell them something about my writing career. I'm going to share with them some specific what, and you got to be clear on what the what is, right? Get clear on what you're going to talk about in your cover letter. And then, right, and this is one that a lot of people will skip over or wouldn't think of. There is a way to gratuitously name drop. Okay. If you've worked with other good people, if you've done things in your writing career, even if you're just starting out, right? If you have some notable who, talk about who. If somebody has mentored you, that's a good who. Because what you're doing when you bring other who names into it is you're borrowing credibility. In my case, I had a chance to work at a big time publishing firm. A lot of those names are known to people when I submit applications and whatnot, or turn in a cover letter for a writing job. And also I'm mentored. I've made myself available to, and have apprenticed myself to, some very big names in the copy world. So I drop those names, but this can be done subtly. It's probably better if it's done subtly, but it should be done, even if it's done gratuitously. And you just say, I know this guy said this about me. I worked with these people. Here's how much money I made for them, right? You can put that kind of detail in there. This is not a time to be a sort of shrinking violet. And there is a time to boast, right? There is a time. It's not that it has to be grotesquely boastful, but you don't want to be shy about the fact that if you had a win, or you know somebody who knows somebody, or you know somebody who's a big time name, that you shouldn't be shy about putting that in there. However you're going to weave it in to the cover letter, make sure that it's in there. Even if it's an idea that you got. Hey, when I first came across copywriting, it was this fella named Dan Kennedy. And, here's what happened, as a result of, my interest in Dan's work. And this is what came of it, right? Or whatever. But put those names in there. It matters, right? People looking at hiring writers care about that kind of stuff. And the third thing is why. I like this. I like the elements that I've given you in that order. It doesn't have to be in this order, but I think of them this way when I put together something like a cover letter or other short copy for that matter, right? And your daily email may include these three elements for exactly the same reasons. The why part is where you spell out for the reader exactly why this matters, and so therefore, right? And this is why I'm a good fit for your position, or this is why I know how to really deliver on whatever it is you're hiring for. Make it explicit. Don't make them connect the dots as to why you just told them this anecdote. Don't expect and leave it to chance that they do or don't get your message about what you told them, your what, and the who, and then um, sort of leave that whole thing dangling so that somebody has to figure out exactly why you've just told them this. This is why I would be a super fit for the position you're hiring for, or whatever, right? Whatever. If you're doing a daily email, this is why. Like, I have a business now where I'm helping North Americans escape the madness coming to the U.S. and Canada by moving to Latin America. This is why you need to be thinking about an international kind of lifestyle, because you don't know what's coming in the next 10 years, but it's likely to be a lot less pleasant than the last 50 if you live in North America. And so, right, I do that in my daily emails where I connect the dots for them. Here's why I've just given you this history lesson, and here's why I've dropped these names and talked about these historical figures, or whatever, right? Whatever it is that I put in my daily email. This is a good way of thinking, and it will make your writing faster, smoother, better, more effective, more persuasive, and most of all, and this is why I do these videos, easier for you to write, right? Much easier for you to, once you have a hook, once you have an angle, or even just a subject line and a vague idea, start thinking along the lines of, what am I going to tell them? Who are the names that I'm going to drop in here? How am I going to relate this to, whether it's again, a historical figure or somebody in the industry, if you're doing a cover letter? And then, why does this matter? Why should you care? I'm going to tell you at the end why you should care, because I don't want you trying to figure out why I just told you this. I'm going to tell you why I told you, right? That old thing, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them why you told them. Sort of applies here. Okay, so that's it. That's what I wanted to cover for this. And thanks very much. If you enjoyed the videos, shoot me a comment or two, give me a like, give me some love, and I'll be back in another video. Thanks.